Most people spend their lives searching for the easy way, yet every shortcut they take only shortens their potential. The truth is simple but seldom heard: the road to greatness is never paved with comfort. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a message for anyone standing at a crossroads, torn between what's easy and what's right, between comfort and growth, between surviving and truly living. We live in a world that sells convenience as the highest virtue. Everything is designed to be faster, easier, simpler. Yet, look closely, and you'll see that the easiest path rarely leads anywhere worth going. The road of least resistance only takes you downhill. You see, life's richest rewards are reserved for those willing to do what is hard. The easy path gives you pleasure now and pain later. The hard path gives you pain now and the deep satisfaction of purpose forever. Think about it. Every man or woman you admire, every inventor, artist, or leader who changed the course of history, did so by embracing difficulty. They faced resistance, failure, and uncertainty, yet they kept going. They understood a timeless truth. The difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary is found in the willingness to do what most people won't. Now, doing what is hard doesn't mean living without joy or working yourself into exhaustion. It means choosing growth over comfort. It means doing the workout when you'd rather stay in bed. It means learning a new skill when no one's watching. It means saying no to distractions and yes to discipline. Because each time you do what is hard, you strengthen a muscle no one can see, your character. And character is destiny. The secret, my friends, is to turn hard things into habits. Start small, but start today. Wake up 10 minutes earlier than usual and plan your day. Read one page of a book that challenges your thinking. Practice patience when you feel frustrated. Take a walk instead of scrolling your phone. The act may seem small, but it's the direction that matters more than the distance. Each deliberate act of courage adds a brick to the foundation of your success. And before you know it, the hard things become easier. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Comfort is one of the most deceptive states a person can live in. It feels peaceful, familiar, and safe. It convinces you that everything is fine, that there's no need to change or push further. Yet, beneath its softness lies stagnation, the slow decay of potential. When you live in comfort for too long, your spirit begins to dull, your ambition fades, and your sense of purpose weakens. You begin to confuse stillness with peace, when in reality you're slowly drifting away from growth. Growth and comfort cannot coexist because progress is born out of resistance, not ease. Challenge is the forge where character is built, and discomfort is the proof that you're stretching beyond who you were yesterday. Every time you choose to confront a challenge, you engage with life in its most active form. You awaken the part of you that was made to adapt, to improve, to overcome. It's in those moments of struggle that your true capabilities begin to reveal themselves. The human body and mind were designed to grow through pressure. Muscles strengthen through resistance, knowledge expands through questioning, and confidence arises through repeated exposure to uncertainty. Without challenge, we never test our limits, and without testing our limits, we never learn what we're truly capable of. Growth requires friction, a discomfort that shakes you out of complacency and demands that you rise higher. The people who accomplish the most are not those who avoid challenge, but those who welcome it as an opportunity to refine themselves. They understand that every obstacle is a lesson in disguise, every setback a test of endurance, and every hardship a chance to build resilience. Comfort tells you to wait until the time is right, but challenge whispers that now is the time. Comfort feeds the ego, but challenge strengthens the spirit. Comfort seeks guarantees, while challenge thrives in uncertainty. The truth is, the moments that shape you most are rarely pleasant. They are the times when you wanted to quit but didn't, when you faced failure but stood up again, when you doubted yourself but acted anyway. Those moments carve wisdom into your character and courage into your soul. They turn weakness into strength and fear into fuel. When you resist comfort and embrace challenge, you stop being a passenger in your own life. You become an active creator, sculpting yourself through the choices you make each day. You begin to see obstacles not as roadblocks, but as rungs on the ladder of progress. You stop asking for things to be easier and start asking to become stronger. The growth you desire will never be found in the places where you feel safe and certain. It exists in the uncomfortable spaces where you are tested, stretched, and sometimes even broken. But from that breaking comes rebuilding, stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. Challenge is not your enemy, it is your greatest teacher, the one that leads you from mediocrity to mastery. Every meaningful achievement began as something difficult, because difficulty is the birthplace of all greatness. Nothing extraordinary has ever emerged from ease. The painter who creates a masterpiece first endures countless failed sketches. The inventor who changes the world spends years battling frustration, doubt, and failure. The athlete who stands victorious has faced exhaustion, pain, and moments when quitting seemed easier than continuing. Every mountain climb, every dream realized, and every legacy built was once a challenge that seemed insurmountable. Difficulty is not a barrier to success, it is the very path that leads to it. Without struggle, achievement loses its depth, its worth, and its meaning. When something feels difficult, it is often a sign that you are stepping beyond your comfort zone. It means you are engaging in growth, in learning, in evolution. The human spirit is not designed for constant ease. It thrives when tested, stretched, and refined. The mind sharpens under pressure just as steel hardens in fire. Each difficulty you face shapes your discipline, builds your patience, and strengthens your character. You begin to understand that progress is not measured by how smooth the journey is, but by how many times you push forward when everything inside you wants to stop. Difficulty demands commitment, and commitment transforms ordinary intention into tangible results. History remembers those who faced difficulty and refused to be defeated by it. The path to discovery has always been paved with setbacks and failures. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb on his first try. He simply refused to let failure define him. Great leaders were not born into greatness. They earned it through persistence in the face of adversity. Every meaningful achievement stands as a monument to perseverance, proof that the will to continue outweighs the temptation to surrender. The process of striving against difficulty is where the seeds of mastery are sown. It is not the final success that shapes you most, but the person you become while enduring the struggle. Difficult beginnings teach lessons that easy victories never can. They teach humility, patience, and gratitude. They force you to rely on effort instead of luck, resilience instead of comfort. Every time you overcome a challenge, you develop confidence that cannot be faked or borrowed. You begin to trust yourself, not because things are easy, but because you've proven you can endure what's hard. The journey from difficulty to achievement rewires your thinking. It turns fear into focus and hesitation into action. It reminds you that struggle is temporary, but the growth it brings lasts forever. The harder the beginning, the greater the sense of fulfillment when you finally arrive. And though the world may only see the success, you will always know that behind every accomplishment lies 1,000 unseen moments of doubt, effort, and persistence. Every meaningful achievement began as something difficult because difficulty is the price we pay for the privilege of growth and the foundation upon which all success is built. The easy path feels safe because it asks for nothing more than what you already are. It tempts you with comfort, predictability, and the illusion of peace. It whispers that avoiding risk will protect you from pain, that staying where you are will save you from failure. And for a while it feels true. You move through days with little resistance, you avoid confrontation, you take no bold steps. Life feels steady, manageable, and calm, yet slowly and silently, that same path begins to steal something far more precious than comfort, your potential. The easy path promises safety, but its price is fulfillment. It ends not in satisfaction, but in the quiet ache of unrealized dreams. Regret is the shadow that follows those who choose comfort over courage. It doesn't appear immediately. It waits until the noise of distraction fades, until you have time to think about the opportunities you let pass, the dreams you postponed, the risks you never took. It's a quiet voice that says, you could have done more. The easy path keeps you away from the pain of failure, but it also keeps you from the pride of accomplishment. It shields you from discomfort, but it robs you of discovery. It's the path where you survive but never truly live. Every time you avoid challenge, you trade growth for familiarity and freedom for security. And what begins as peace often turns into emptiness. Life is designed to reward those who move forward despite fear. Growth demands uncertainty. Every worthwhile pursuit requires effort, patience, and resilience. When you choose the harder path, the one filled with obstacles and doubt, you begin to evolve. You develop strength not by avoiding struggle but by facing it head-on. The easy path avoids storms, but the harder path teaches you how to walk through them. It's the only way to discover what you're capable of. You cannot find your purpose hiding behind comfort. You find it by confronting resistance. The easy path might protect you from failure, but it also protects you from success. People often look back on their lives and realize their regrets are rarely about what they tried and failed at. Instead, they regret what they never tried at all. The dream left untouched, the goal left unfinished, the words left unsaid. These become the heavy weights of the soul. The easy path doesn't demand your courage. but it will one day demand your remorse. It's better to walk the hard road now, to risk falling, to risk failing, than to look back one day wishing you had. Because failure, no matter how painful, fades with time. Regret does not. The easy path feels like safety, but it is simply a slow surrender. The moments of comfort it offers are fleeting, while the cost of lost potential is permanent. The path of challenge may hurt, but it leads to growth, to purpose, to pride in knowing you lived with boldness instead of fear. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction, as something that limits pleasure and spontaneity. Yet, in truth, discipline is the quiet architect of freedom. It is the invisible force that turns chaos into clarity and potential into power. To the undisciplined mind, freedom means doing whatever you want whenever you want. But that kind of freedom is fleeting, unstable, and ultimately enslaving. It ties you to impulse, emotion, and external influence. Discipline, on the other hand, is the ability to direct yourself toward what truly matters, regardless of how you feel in the moment. It is the mastery of choice. The power to act with intention rather than reaction. The person who has mastered discipline is not bound by rules but liberated by purpose. Every act of discipline strengthens control over your life. When you wake up early instead of sleeping in, when you save instead of spending carelessly, when you study instead of scrolling endlessly, you reclaim ownership of your time and energy. These small acts build the foundation of freedom because they separate you from dependence on comfort and convenience. True freedom is not the absence of structure but the presence of self-control. It means you are no longer ruled by distraction, procrastination, or laziness. Discipline trains the mind to choose the future over the moment, the goal over the impulse. It creates order in a world full of noise, giving you the ability to move steadily toward what you value most. Those who avoid discipline often live at the mercy of circumstance. They are pulled by moods, influenced by trends, and controlled by their desires. Their lack of structure becomes a form of imprisonment, even if it looks like freedom from the outside. Without discipline, ambitions remain wishes, and potential remains unused. The person who cannot control themselves must be controlled by something else, whether it be fear, addiction, or routine. Discipline is the tool that reverses this. It gives you the strength to act on your priorities, not your impulses. It transforms fleeting motivation into lasting consistency. Through discipline, you gain the ability to do what is necessary even when it isn't easy, and that ability is the essence of true independence. Discipline demands effort, but the rewards are immeasurable. It gives you mastery over your habits, focus over your thoughts, and direction over your days. It creates the space for creativity to flourish and for dreams to become tangible. The disciplined person doesn't chase freedom, they build it brick by brick through repeated acts of self-control. They understand that every moment of restraint today buys a lifetime of liberty tomorrow. The freedom to live as you wish, to think clearly, to achieve deeply, all of it is born from the willingness to impose discipline upon yourself. In every area of life, whether it's health, relationships, or success, discipline is not the enemy of freedom, but the doorway to it. Hidden behind the effort most people avoid, success is not a sudden spark of brilliance or a moment of divine inspiration. It is the quiet accumulation of small, deliberate actions repeated over time. Inspiration can light the fire, but consistency keeps it burning. Many people wait for motivation to strike before they act, believing they need to feel ready or excited to begin. But the truth is, success belongs to those who show up even when they don't feel like it. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve lies not in talent or luck, but in persistence. Consistent effort transforms potential into progress and turns ordinary individuals into extraordinary achievers. Inspiration is fleeting. It comes and goes with emotion, often disappearing as quickly as it appears. But consistency is dependable. It doesn't rely on feeling, only on commitment. When you commit to showing up every day, to practice, to learn, to improve, you begin to build momentum. Each small step compounds into growth, and over time, what once felt impossible becomes inevitable. The greatest artists, athletes, and thinkers did not reach mastery by waiting for the perfect moment. They worked through the uninspired days, the failures, and the frustrations. They understood that consistency is the bridge between vision and reality. Even when results were invisible, they trusted that effort was never wasted. Every act of consistency strengthens discipline. Every day you stick to the process, you reinforce the habits that shape your future. Success is not achieved in a single breakthrough. It is built through hundreds of quiet repetitions. The person who writes one page every day will one day finish a book. The one who saves a small amount consistently will build wealth. The one who practices their craft daily, even imperfectly, will surpass the one who waits for perfect motivation. Effort, repeated over time, compounds like interest, turning discipline into excellence. Inconsistency is the silent killer of progress. Many people start strong, fueled by excitement, but lose steam when the novelty fades. They mistake the absence of inspiration for a sign to stop, not realizing that those who persist through boredom and fatigue are the ones who ultimately succeed. Consistency does not mean perfection. It means returning to the path again and again, even after you stumble. Each time you recommit, you strengthen your resolve an inch closer to mastery. Success is not about how fast you move, but about how long you keep moving. The world rewards the steady more than the gifted because consistency outlasts talent when talent is undisciplined. Those who win understand that greatness is not built in a single day, but every day. When you replace occasional bursts of inspiration with daily effort, you create unstoppable momentum. The process may be slow, but it is sure. Each step forward, no matter how small, adds to the foundation of your success. True achievement is not born from what you do once in a while, but from what you do again and again until it becomes who you are. The hard path builds resilience because it forces you to grow stronger in the face of resistance. Every challenge you face, every obstacle you overcome, becomes a layer of toughness that shapes your character. The hard path teaches patience, endurance, and adaptability, qualities that cannot be developed through comfort. When you take the difficult route, you learn to depend on your own strength, to think creatively, and to push forward even when progress seems invisible. You begin to realize that struggle is not punishment but preparation. Each setback refines your mindset. Each difficulty polishes your determination. Through hardship, you learn that pain is temporary, but the lessons it gives you last a lifetime. Resilience is not built in times of ease. It's forged in the fire of adversity. It is the product of discomfort, frustration, and persistence. The easy path, by contrast, offers momentary relief but long-term weakness. When you avoid challenges, you deny yourself the chance to grow. You remain fragile, untested, and easily shaken by even the smallest difficulties. The easy path erodes resilience because it removes the friction that forces you to evolve. It keeps you dependent on convenience and fearful of discomfort. Without pressure, strength cannot exist. A tree that grows sheltered from the wind never develops deep roots. The first storm that comes will tear it down. The same is true for people. Those who avoid struggle remain vulnerable when life inevitably tests them. Choosing the hard path does not mean seeking unnecessary suffering. It means choosing the path that demands effort, patience, and persistence. It's the road where you are challenged to grow beyond your limits, where every obstacle is a mirror showing you what you still need to improve. The hard path builds resilience because it teaches you how to stay composed when things fall apart. It trains you to adapt instead of break, to bend but not collapse. It teaches emotional control. The ability to stay calm under pressure, to face uncertainty with courage, and to keep faith when the outcome is unclear. Resilient people are not born, they are built through the repeated choice to endure what others avoid. The easy path, though tempting, quietly weakens the spirit. It encourages comfort over growth, and comfort, when left unchecked, leads to complacency. Without challenges, your confidence fades because you never test your limits. Without struggle, you cannot appreciate strength. The easy path gives you short-term pleasure but long-term regret, while the hard path gives you short-term struggle but lasting pride. Every time you choose the harder route, you strengthen your ability to handle whatever comes next. You develop inner toughness that no setback can take away. The hard path transforms obstacles into opportunities, pain into wisdom, and fear into courage. The easy path may look smooth, but it leaves you unprepared for life's inevitable storms, while the hard path equips you to walk through them with power, grace, and unshakable resolve. Growth demands sacrifice because nothing worth becoming comes without a cost. To evolve into a stronger, wiser, and more capable version of yourself, you must give up the comfort of who you are today. Every step toward improvement requires something from you. Time that could have been spent on leisure, effort that could have been spared, and the willingness to let go of pride that resists change. Growth is not a single act of transformation, but a continuous process of surrendering what is easy for what is necessary. You cannot hold on to comfort and progress at the same time. You must choose between temporary pleasure and lasting fulfillment, between protecting your ego and expanding your potential. Time is the first sacrifice that growth demands. The hours you spend learning, practicing, and failing could easily be spent resting or entertaining yourself. Yet, those who grow understand that time is not lost, it is invested. Every minute dedicated to self-improvement compounds into mastery. The person who studies when others sleep, who practices when others relax, gains an advantage that cannot be borrowed or stolen. Growth asks for patience, And patience can only exist when you are willing to give time without expecting immediate results. The seed that grows into a tree does not bloom overnight, but it keeps reaching toward the light regardless of how long it takes. Effort is the second sacrifice, the currency of all progress. Growth requires persistence even when enthusiasm fades. It asks you to show up when you're tired, to work when you feel uninspired, and to continue when results seem distant. Effort is the proof of desire. Without it, dreams remain fantasies. Each bit of effort, though it may feel exhausting, strengthens your will and builds momentum. Growth rewards consistency more than talent because effort turns knowledge into skill and potential into achievement. The process is demanding, often uncomfortable, but every drop of sweat moves you closer to mastery. Ego is perhaps the hardest sacrifice of all. To grow, you must be humble enough to admit you don't know everything. You must be willing to fail publicly, to accept criticism, and to learn from those who know more. Ego clings to pride and resists correction, but growth thrives on openness and humility. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment growth stops. To evolve, you must be willing to look foolish, to start again, and to be a beginner despite your achievements. Letting go of ego allows you to see truth more clearly and learn without resistance. Growth is a trade. You give up who you were for who you can become. It demands that you part with ease, comfort, and self-importance in exchange for depth, wisdom, and strength. Every great transformation is born from sacrifice. You cannot rise without first releasing the weight that holds you down, and that release often feels like loss before it becomes liberation. The mind strengthens only when stretched beyond its limits, because comfort never creates capacity. Just as muscles grow through resistance, the mind expands through challenge. When you force yourself to think harder, learn deeper, and face situations that test your understanding, your mental strength begins to develop. The brain is designed to adapt and grow, but it can only do so when confronted with something it does not yet know how to handle. When you remain within familiar territory, your thoughts run in circles, repeating old patterns. It is only when you step into uncertainty, when you wrestle with confusion and doubt, that your intellect sharpens and your awareness deepens. Growth of the mind is a process of stretching, straining, and rebuilding. Every time you face a problem that feels too difficult, your mind is presented with an opportunity to evolve. The frustration you feel in those moments is the signal of progress taking place. It means you are at the edge of your current ability, standing before the possibility of new understanding. If you push through, you form new connections in the brain, literal pathways of learning that expand what you're capable of. That's why challenges that once seemed impossible eventually become routine. Each stretch of the mind increases its range, just like exercise increases physical endurance. The key is to keep pushing a little beyond what feels easy, to stay curious when confusion arises, and to keep learning even when it's uncomfortable. Avoiding mental difficulty keeps the mind weak. When you choose ease, entertainment, and distraction over focused discipline and study, your mind begins to atrophy. It becomes restless, unfocused, and dependent on stimulation rather than creation. Modern life makes it easy to avoid the kind of deep thinking that once built great thinkers and innovators. But the truth remains unchanged. Only those who challenge their minds daily develop true mental resilience. Reading something that stretches your understanding, learning a new skill, solving a complex problem, or engaging in deep reflection all act as training for the intellect. Each act of mental effort strengthens your focus, memory, and creativity. Stretching the mind is not just about intelligence, it's about adaptability. The more you expose yourself to new ideas and difficult situations, the better equipped you become to face uncertainty. Life will always present unexpected challenges, and a strong mind does not panic, it adapts. It sees patterns where others see chaos, solutions where others see obstacles. This flexibility comes from years of deliberate mental stretching. The process may feel uncomfortable, but it is within that discomfort that potential turns into power. The mind that never struggles never grows, while the one that welcomes challenge becomes unbreakable. To expand your thinking, you must be willing to reach beyond what you already understand, to question your assumptions, and to seek knowledge that humbles you. In doing so, you transform the mind from a passive observer into an active creator capable of shaping its own reality. Doing what's hard today makes tomorrow easier, because effort invested now compounds into strength, wisdom, and freedom later. The challenges you face today are not barriers but building blocks. Every time you confront something uncomfortable, you're not just solving a momentary problem, you're preparing yourself for the future. Discipline, resilience, and skill are not built overnight. They are built through repeated acts of courage in the present. When you choose the harder path now, you lighten the burden of what lies ahead. The weight you carry today becomes the muscle you use tomorrow. Life rewards those who prepare before they are forced to. The pain you endure in effort today saves you from the pain of regret later. The easy choice often feels comforting, but it borrows happiness from your future. Procrastination, avoidance, and shortcuts create temporary relief but long-term struggle. When you avoid what's hard, the task doesn't disappear. It grows heavier with time. But when you face difficulty head-on, you gain control. Doing what's hard today, the studying, the training, the saving, the uncomfortable conversation, may demand sacrifice, but it frees you from anxiety later. Each act of effort plants seeds of confidence and competence that will serve you when life's challenges return. The future belongs to those who act before they are ready, who work before they must, and who face discomfort before it becomes crisis. Doing what's hard builds habits that make the next step easier. When you push yourself to rise early, to stay focused, to persist through fatigue, you train your mind to endure discomfort. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes routine. The hard things become normal because your capacity expands. The person who practices discipline today becomes the person who moves with ease tomorrow. Effort compounds just like interest. The more you invest now, the more freedom you gain later. The choice to do what's hard is never about the task itself, but about who you become in the process. You are shaping your future self with every moment of resistance you overcome. Growth always demands an upfront payment of effort. It's uncomfortable, often exhausting, but it creates a life of strength and stability. The one who exercises today enjoys health later. The one who learns today enjoys mastery later. The one who saves today enjoys security later. Every hard thing you do today makes your future self's path smoother. The struggle now is temporary. The benefits are lasting. You can either suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret, but one fades and the other lingers. Doing what's hard today means choosing progress over comfort, purpose over pleasure, and preparation over procrastination. It's a trade that every successful person has made. To endure now so that life becomes lighter, clearer, and freer in the days to come, and greatness begins the moment you stop avoiding difficulty, because that is the exact point where comfort ends and transformation begins. Most people spend their lives running from hardship, seeking shortcuts and detours that promise ease. But every attempt to escape difficulty is an attempt to escape growth. The moment you decide to face challenges instead of hiding from them, you awaken the dormant power within you. Greatness is not a sudden gift. It is the gradual result of countless decisions to confront what others avoid. Every difficulty carries within it the opportunity to rise above limitation. Avoid it and you remain the same. Face it and you evolve. The strength you admire in others was not born from convenience but carved through struggle. Difficulty is the mirror that reflects your potential. It reveals how deeply you are willing to push, how patient you can be, and how committed you are to your vision. The people who achieve greatness are not those who never faced obstacles, but those who met them with courage and persistence. They understood that comfort keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small. True growth requires friction, the resistance that tests your resolve and strengthens your spirit. Each time you push through discomfort, you expand your limits. The fear that once controlled you begins to shrink, and confidence takes its place. Avoiding difficulty only delays progress. The challenges you refuse to face today will return tomorrow, often with greater force. Life does not reward avoidance, it rewards courage. When you stop running from struggle, you reclaim power over your circumstances. You begin to act from strength instead of fear. Every difficulty becomes a lesson instead of a threat. You start to realize that problems do not block your path. They are the path. The climb is what builds the climber. The storm is what shapes the sailor. The test is what creates the master. Greatness is not found on smooth roads, but in the rough terrain where only the determined choose to walk. When you embrace difficulty, you start to see yourself differently. You stop seeking validation from ease and start finding fulfillment in effort. You begin to appreciate the process as much as the outcome. Every setback becomes proof of endurance, every failure a stepping stone to wisdom. You develop patience, focus, and faith, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. The person who embraces difficulty builds a foundation that cannot be shaken by uncertainty. They no longer wait for ideal conditions because they understand that the struggle is the condition for greatness. The decision to stop avoiding difficulty is the decision to step into your full potential. It marks the turning point between wishing and becoming, between hesitation and progress. Every great life begins with a moment of courage. The moment you look at the challenge before you and say, "I'm ready to face it." From that point on, everything changes. Because you no longer move away from life's tests, you move through them, and in doing so, you rise. Greatness is not found in comfort, luck, or fleeting bursts of inspiration. It is built through the steady courage to do what is hard when every part of you craves the easy way. Life's most meaningful rewards come to those who embrace struggle, who view challenge not as punishment but as the raw material of progress. Each test you face, each sacrifice you make, each difficult choice you endure is shaping you into the person capable of holding the success you seek. The easy path may promise safety, but it ends in regret. The hard path demands more, yet it gives everything in return: strength, wisdom, freedom, and pride. Discipline, resilience, and effort are the tools with which you carve your destiny. So, when life asks you to choose the road that tests you. Choose the path that stretches you. Because the moment you stop avoiding difficulty, you stop living small. Do what is hard today, for in doing so, you make tomorrow yours.